Sai Ram children, before we share the learnings from the Bhagavad Gita, it is very important that you should know what is the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is an ancient holy book of Hindu Dharma, which is also known as Sanatana Dharma. It has life principles applicable to people of all faiths. Hence, it is a holy book which is widely read and understood all over the world by people of any faith. The Gita as such has 18 chapters and a total of only 700 verses. Anyone can be helped by daily practice of only few of its teachings, hence its importance in our daily lives. The word Bhagavad or Bhagwan in Sanskrit means God or the Supreme Lord. Gita means song. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita means the song of God or the sacred song. This song was sung by Bhagwan Sri Krishna himself. It is depicted as a conversation between two friends called Krishna and Arjuna. Let's go back a bit in history to exactly understand where the Gita comes from. As you all know, India has two great Sanskrit epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is a story of a great war between two sets of cousins, the 5 Pandavas as in the good guys and the 100 Kauravas as in the not so good guys. The Mahabharata is made up of 18 parvas or books, each of which is further divided into chapters containing more than 100,000 shlokas. These shlokas are in the form of couplets or 2-line verses. The Gita is a small part of this world's longest epic poem, the Mahabharata, which was written about 2500 years ago. The Gita is part of the 6th Parva or book. Yes, it makes an appearance quite early on in the story. The question that arises then is, how come a set of verses that is a tiny part of the epic Mahabharata is better known than the epic itself? Why is it so important and so revered? This is what will be revealed when we start our journey in understanding the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. The first chapter in the Gita talks about Arjuna's confusion. The war of Mahabharata was about to begin after peace talks by Lord Krishna and others failed to avoid the war. When the soldiers were gathered on the battlefield, Arjuna asked Lord Krishna to drive his chariot between the two armies so that he could see those who were ready to fight. Seeing all his relatives, friends and soldiers on the battlefield and fearing their destruction, he became compassionate. Now what is the meaning of compassionate here? Compassionate does not mean pity. It does not mean he was looking down on others as poor pitiful creatures. Arjuna was feeling their pain and their unlucky situation as his own. Arjuna was a great warrior who had fought many wars and was well prepared for the war. But suddenly his compassion made him not want to fight. He spoke of the evils of war and sat down on the seat of his chariot, his mind full of sorrow. He saw no use in fighting. He didn't know what to do. Do you think Arjuna was wrong in feeling the way he did? There are not only wars between nations, but quarrels between two people, quarrels between brothers and sisters, between friends and neighbors, between husband and wife. The main reason is that people are not able to let go of their selfish motives and desires. Most wars are fought for possession and power, but all problems could be solved peacefully if people could see both sides of the problem and work out an agreement. War should be the last resort. Our holy books say, one should not commit violence towards anyone. Unjustified killing is punishable in all circumstances. Lord Krishna urged Arjuna to fight for his rights, but not to kill needlessly. It was his duty, his dharma as a warrior to fight a declared war and establish peace and law and order on earth. We humans also have wars going inside all of us. Our negative and positive forces are always fighting. The negative forces within us are represented by the Kauravas and the positive forces by the Pandavas. The Gita does not have stories in it to illustrate the teachings. So there will be some more stories which will be added to help you. Here's a story about negative and positive thoughts fighting each other that Lord Krishna himself told to Arjuna in the Mahabharata. There once lived a great hermit who was famous for telling the truth. He had taken a vow not to lie and was popularly known as Mr. Truthful. No matter what he said, everyone believed him because he had earned a great reputation in the community where he lived and did his spiritual practices. One evening, a robber was chasing a merchant to rob and kill him. The merchant was running for his life. To escape from the robber, the merchant ran towards the forest where the hermit lived outside the village. The merchant felt very safe because there was no way the robber could find out where he was hiding in the jungle. But the hermit had seen the direction in which the merchant went. The robber came to the hermit's cottage and paid his respects. The robber knew that the hermit would tell only the truth and could be trusted. So he asked him whether he had seen somebody running away. The hermit knew that the robber must be looking for somebody to rob and kill, so he faced a big problem. If he told the truth, the merchant would certainly be killed. If he lied, he would incur the sin of lying and lose his reputation. Any immoral act that may harm others is called sin. Ahimsa and truthfulness are two most important teachings of all religions that we must follow. If we have to choose between these two, which one should we choose? This is a very difficult choice. Because of his habit of telling the truth, the hermit said, "Yes, I saw someone going that way." So the robber was able to find the merchant and kill him. The hermit could have saved a life by hiding the truth, but he did not think very carefully and made a wrong decision. Lord Krishna's purpose in telling Arjuna the story was to teach Arjuna that sometimes we have to choose between a rock and a hard place. Lord Krishna told Arjuna that the hermit shared with the robber the sin of killing a life. The robber could not have found the merchant if the hermit had not told the truth. So when two noble principles conflict with each other, as in ahimsa and dharma, we have to know which one is the higher principle. Ahimsa has the highest priority, so the hermit should have lied in this situation to save a life. One may not tell a truth that harms a person in any way. It isn't easy to apply dharma or righteousness to real life situations because what is dharma and what is adharma can sometimes be very difficult to decide. In such a situation, expert advice should be sought. Lord Krishna gave another example of a robber coming to a village to rob and kill the villagers. In this situation, killing the robber would be an act of non-violence because killing one person may save many lives. Lord Krishna himself on several occasions had to make such decisions to win the war of Mahabharata and put an end to all the evildoers. Remember, do not tell a lie and do not kill any living being or hurt anybody, but saving a life comes first. The Gita is the very voice of Lord Krishna. The way it begins and the way it ends, that gives a clue to the subject which it expounds. The very first verse starts with the words Dharma Kshetra, abode of Dharma, Kurukshetra, the word Dharma being the leading word. The last verse of the final 18th chapter speaks of Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishna, and this word Yogeshwaraha sums up the Dharma that is taught. Thus it is clear that the objective of the teaching in the Gita is just this: remember Dharma, practice Dharma. How significant is this word? The Gita incorporates the study of Dharma. It helps in demarcating and defining the nature and all the subtle characteristics of Dharma. It discusses all the principles which actually underlie it. Here, Arjuna is the Jivi, the individual. The body is a chariot and the teacher in the chariot is Krishna, the Lord. The charioteer is the Lord, the inspirer of the intelligence, the Brahman which prompts it in answer to man's prayer contained in the Gayatri Mantra, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Awaken my discrimination, O Lord, and guide me. The Kauravas represent the demonic nature. The Pandavas represent the divine. They are Asat, these are Sat. One is evil, the other is good, and there has ever been a struggle between the two. In this conflict between opposing forces, Krishna, the self, the Atma, is ever on the side of Dharma, the reality which sustains, not the delusion which undermines. If you seek to have the Lord on your side as your guide, equip yourself with the divine nature, Daivi Sampat, the qualities of Dharma, for the Lord is where Dharma is. Again, do remember, this dharma is not laid down or recommended for the extraordinary among men. It is within the reach of all, for all have the hunger for God, all have the discrimination to discover that there is something basic behind all this change. Even the most heinous sinner can quickly cleanse his heart and become pure by surrendering to the Lord in anguished repentance. Therefore, the Lord's command is that each should pursue the special dharma laid down for him. Each person should plan his life according to the spiritual foundations of his culture. He should give up the objective vision and listen to the voice of God. That voice which comes within you, which comes from you, and the voice which is in you. Sai Ram.